The sun was setting over the bustling city of New Atlantis, casting a warm glow across the gleaming skyscrapers and hovercrafts that darted through the air. In a modest family home nestled in the suburbs, Dr. Emily Carlson was preparing dinner with her husband, John, and their young daughter, Sophia. "Can I help set the table, Mommy?" Sophia asked excitedly, her big brown eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Emily smiled and nodded. "Of course, sweetheart. Go ahead and get the plates and silverware, please." As Sophia scurried off to the dining room, Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment. The Carlson family had been living on the human colony of New Atlantis for the past 5 years, and they had grown to love the peaceful coexistence they shared with the Cylonian aliens, who also called the planet home. John placed a gentle hand on Emily's shoulder. "It's been a good day, hasn't it?" he said, his voice warm and reassuring. "Yes, it has," Emily replied, leaning into his touch. "I'm grateful for the life we've built here." Sophia seemed so happy. The sound of a loud crash from the dining room suddenly shattered the tranquility. Emily and John rushed in to find Sophia on the floor, surrounded by shattered ceramic plates. "Sophia, are you all right?" Emily cried, kneeling beside her daughter. Sophia's face was pale, her eyes wide with terror. "Mommy, Daddy, there were these strange creatures," she stammered. "They came out of nowhere and grabbed me." John quickly scanned the room, his brow furrowed in concern. "There's no one else here, sweetheart. What do you mean?" Before Sophia could respond, the air seemed to shimmer and 2 hulking alien figures materialized in the middle of the dining room. Their bodies were covered in a sleek, metallic exoskeleton, and their faces were obscured by opaque visors. Emily's heart raced as she pulled Sophia close, shielding her from the imposing figures. "What do you want?" she demanded, her voice trembling. The aliens stepped forward, their movements fluid and precise. "We are representatives of the Galactic Council," one of them announced in a deep mechanical voice. "The child is to be taken into our custody." John moved to stand in front of his family, his jaw set with determination. "Taken? What is the meaning of this? Sophia has done nothing wrong." The second alien raised a gloved hand, and a beam of energy shot forth, striking John in the chest. He crumpled to the ground, unconscious. "John!" Emily screamed, her eyes wide with horror. She clutched Sophia tighter, her mind racing as she tried to devise a plan of escape. The aliens advanced, their movements calm and methodical. "The child is coming with us," the first one declared. "Any resistance will be met with force." Sophia began to sob, her small body trembling. "Mommy, I'm scared," she cried. Emily's heart broke as she realized there was no way she could fight off these powerful alien intruders. She pressed a tender kiss to Sophia's forehead, her own tears threatening to spill over. "It's going to be all right, my darling," she whispered, her voice trained with emotion. "Mommy and Daddy will find you. I promise." With a flick of their wrists, the aliens encased Sophia in a glowing force field, lifting her into the air. The child's cries echoed through the house as the aliens swiftly disappeared, leaving Emily alone and helpless, kneeling beside her unconscious husband. The halls of the Galactic Council's headquarters were bustling with activity as the alien representatives hurried to secure their latest prize, the human child, Sophia Carlson. Sophia trembled with fear as she was escorted through the gleaming corridors, the force field that encased her body casting an eerie glow on her surroundings. She desperately searched for any sign of her parents, her heart racing with panic. "Where are you taking me?" she asked, her voice small and quavering. The 2 aliens flanking her remained silent, their expressions hidden behind their opaque visors. They led Sophia to a heavily guarded door, which slid open to reveal a spacious, sterile chamber. "This will be your new home," one of the aliens announced in a cold, mechanical tone. "You will remain here until the Council determines your fate." Sophia's eyes widened in horror as the force field dissolved, and she found herself trapped within the confines of the room. "But I want to go home," she cried, pressing her hands against the transparent walls that surrounded her. The aliens turned to leave, their footsteps echoing in the stark chamber. "Your cooperation is not required," the other one stated, his voice devoid of empathy. As the door slid shut, sealing Sophia in her new prison, she sank to the floor, her small frame racked with sobs. The reality of her situation began to sink in, and she couldn't help but wonder what would become of her. Back on New Atlantis, the Carlson household was in a state of turmoil. John had regained consciousness, and he and Emily were frantically trying to piece together what had happened. "We have to report this to the authorities," John said, his hands trembling with a mixture of fear and anger. Emily nodded, her face pale and drawn. "I've already contacted the colony security team. They're on their way." She paused, a look of anguish crossing her features. "Oh, John, what if they can't find her? What if she's—" John pulled his wife into a tight embrace, his own eyes brimming with tears. "We can't think like that," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "We'll find her, Emily. I promise." As the security team arrived and began their investigation, the news of Sophia's abduction quickly spread throughout the colony and beyond. Within hours, the story had reached the depths of the Galactic Council's own headquarters, where the high-ranking members convened to discuss the matter. "This is an outrage," one of the counselors exclaimed, slamming his fist on the table. "How dare the humans interfere with our plans?" Another counselor, a stoic-looking alien with a commanding presence, raised a hand to silence his colleague. "Calm yourself, Ixlor. We must handle this situation with the utmost care." "Care?" Ixlor sneered. "The child is of no consequence to us. We should simply dispose of her and be done with it." The stoic counselor fixed Ixlor with a stern gaze. "You forget your place, Ixlor. The child may serve a greater purpose in our plans. We cannot afford to be hasty." Ixlor's eyes narrowed, but he remained silent, reluctantly acknowledging the wisdom of his colleague's words. The stoic counselor turned to the others, his expression grave. "The humans will undoubtedly attempt to retrieve the child. We must prepare for their retaliation." As the Galactic Council debated their next move, the people of New Atlantis were already rallying to the Carlsons' aid. Protests and vigils were held, with the entire colony united in their demand for Sophia's safe return. Emily and John, their faces etched with worry, watched as the community they had come to love banded together in their time of need. They knew that the fight to bring Sophia home would be a difficult one, but they were determined to do whatever it took to get their daughter back. The Galactic Council, unaccustomed to such a fierce and united response from the humans, found themselves facing a growing crisis that threatened to upend their carefully laid plans. As tensions escalated, the stage was set for a clash that would echo throughout the stars, pitting the might of the Galactic Council against the unbreakable spirit of humanity. The news of Sophia Carlson's abduction spread like wildfire through the human colonies, igniting a wave of outrage and demands for action. Within hours, the story had reached the farthest corners of the known galaxy, sparking protests and vigils in even the most remote settlements. On New Atlantis, the Carlson family found themselves at the center of a global and interstellar outcry. Emily and John were inundated with messages of support and offers of assistance from both human and Tylonian neighbors, as well as from influential figures across the Galactic Council's member worlds. "We stand with you in this terrible time," read a holographic message from the Tylonian High Counselor, her large, expressive eyes conveying a deep sense of sympathy. "The Tylonian people will do everything in our power to aid in the safe return of your child." Emily clutched the message, her eyes brimming with tears. "Thank you, High Counselor," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "We are grateful for your support." John placed a comforting hand on his wife's shoulder, his own expression grim. "The Galactic Council will have to answer for this," he said, his jaw set with determination. "They can't keep Sophia from us. We'll get her back, no matter what it takes." As the Carlsons continued to receive an outpouring of support from their community and beyond, The Galactic Council's headquarters were in a state of turmoil. The high-ranking members were scrambling to contain the growing crisis, their carefully orchestrated plans now threatened by the intense global and interstellar backlash. This is an outrage. Ixlor, the counselor who had advocated for Sophia's disposal, shouted, slamming his fist on the table. The humans are making a mockery of our authority. The stoic counselor, Alorian, raised a hand to silence his colleague. We must tread carefully, Ixlor. The humans have proved to be more resilient than we anticipated. Alorian turned to the others, his expression grave. The abduction of the child was meant to be a quiet, surgical operation. But now, the entire galaxy is watching our every move. Another counselor, a more pragmatic individual named Senderi, spoke up. Perhaps it's time we consider a diplomatic solution. Returning the child to her family could defuse the situation and prevent further escalation. Ixlor scoffed, his eyes narrowing with contempt. Diplomacy. You speak as if the humans deserve any concessions from us. They are nothing but primitive savages. Alorian fixed Ixlor with a stern gaze. The humans have proven themselves to be a formidable adversary, Ixlor. We cannot afford to underestimate them again. The debate within the Galactic Council's inner circle continued, with the members divided on how to proceed. While some advocated for a more conciliatory approach, others, like Ixlor, insisted on a show of force to reassert the Council's dominance. As the tensions escalated, the people of New Atlantis and beyond continued to rally in support of the Carlson family. Massive demonstrations and protests erupted across the human colonies, with the crowd's chants echoing through the streets. Bring Sophia home. The Galactic Council must answer for their crimes. Justice for the Carlsons. Emily and John, their faces etched with worry and determination, stood at the forefront of the rallies, their voices joining the chorus of outrage. They knew that the fight to get their daughter back would be a daunting one, but they were resolute in their refusal to give up. We won't stop until Sophia is safe, Emily declared, her eyes shining with a fierce maternal resolve. The Galactic Council will have to go through us first. As the world watched with bated breath, the stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of humanity's resilience and the Galactic Council's power. The outcome of this conflict would not only determine the fate of the Carlson family, but could potentially reshape the very foundations of the Galactic Order. In the days following Sophia Carlson's abduction, Emily and John found themselves at the center of a whirlwind of activity. Offers of assistance and support poured in from all corners of the human colonies, as well as from sympathetic members of the Tylonian race. Among the many individuals eager to help were two former military operatives, Jack Daniels and Samantha Nguyen. The seasoned veterans had heard the Carlsons' plight and were determined to lend their expertise to the rescue effort. We've been in touch with some of our old contacts, Jack said, his weathered face set with determination. They might be able to help us infiltrate the Galactic Council's headquarters and retrieve the girl. Emily's eyes widened with a glimmer of hope. You really think you can get Sophia back? She asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Samantha placed a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder. We're going to do everything in our power to bring her home, Mrs. Carlson. You have our word. John stepped forward, his expression grave. This won't be an easy task. The Galactic Council's security is notoriously tight, and they'll be on high alert after the backlash from Sophia's abduction. Jack nodded, a grim smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. We know, but we faced tougher odds before. All we need is a solid plan and a little bit of luck. The former operatives gathered the Carlsons and a small, trusted team of specialists to begin strategizing their daring rescue mission. They pored over detailed schematics of the Galactic Council's headquarters, studying the layout and security measures with a meticulous eye. Here's what we're thinking, Samantha said, pointing to a series of holograms projected on the table. We'll infiltrate the facility through this service tunnel here. It's lightly guarded and provides direct access to the detention area. Jack chimed in, his fingers tracing the holograms. Once we're inside, we'll need to move quickly and quietly. Samantha and I will provide cover while the rest of the team extracts the girl. Emily listened intently, her heart racing with a mixture of hope and trepidation. And what if something goes wrong? She asked, her brow furrowed with concern. Samantha met her gaze with a reassuring nod. We've accounted for every possible contingency. This plan is solid, Mrs. Carlson. We're going to get your daughter back. As the team finalized the details of their mission, the Galactic Council's headquarters were buzzing with activity. The high-ranking members were in a state of heightened alert, their discussions marked by a growing sense of unease. The humans are becoming bolder by the day. Ixlor spat. His eyes narrowed with contempt. They dare to defy the authority of the Galactic Council. Alorian raised a hand, silencing the outraged counselor. We must act quickly, before the situation spirals further out of control. The child's presence here is becoming a liability. Zendari, the more pragmatic counselor, spoke up. Perhaps it would be best to return the child to her family. It would allow us to diffuse the tensions and regain some semblance of control over the situation. Ixlor scoffed, his lips curling into a sneer. Surrender to the humans? Absolutely not. We must crush this resistance before it spreads like a cancer throughout the galaxy. Alorian's expression grew grave as he considered the options. Ixlor makes a valid point. The child's presence here is a beacon for the humans' wrath. We cannot afford to let them infiltrate our most secure facilities. The Galactic Council descended into a heated debate, their voices echoing through the halls as they struggled to reach a consensus on how to proceed. The fate of Sophia Carlson and the future of the entire Galactic Order hung in the balance. As the rescue team on New Atlantis continued to refine their plan, a sense of grim determination settled over them. They knew the risks they were taking, but the thought of Sophia suffering in the hands of the Galactic Council only fueled their resolve. We're ready, Jack said, his eyes meeting Emily's with a steely gaze. Let's bring Sophia home. The darkness of the Galactic Council's service tunnel enveloped the rescue team as they cautiously made their way towards the detention area. Jack Daniels, his weapon at the ready, took point, his keen eyes scanning the dimly lit corridor for any signs of movement. Stay close and keep quiet, he whispered into his comm unit. We're almost there. Samantha Nguyen, her own firearm in hand, brought up the rear, her senses heightened and alert. The rest of the team, a mix of skilled hackers and infiltration experts, followed closely, their faces set with determination. As they approached the heavily guarded detention block, Jack raised a fist, signaling the team to halt. All right, listen up, he said, his voice low and measured. Samantha and I will create a distraction to draw the guards away. That's your chance to infiltrate the cell block and find Sophia. Emily Carlson, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and hope, nodded firmly. We'll be quick and quiet. Just make sure you keep those guards occupied. John Carlson placed a reassuring hand on his wife's shoulder. We're going to get our daughter back, Emily. I promise. With a final nod, the team split into two groups, each one heading towards their assigned objectives. Jack and Samantha moved stealthily towards the main entrance, while the rest of the team slipped through a side corridor, their footsteps barely audible. As they approached the detention block, the sound of muffled voices and the hum of security systems grew louder. Exchanging a silent glance, the team members took their positions, ready to spring into action. Meanwhile, on the other side of the facility, Jack and Samantha crouched behind a stack of crates, their eyes scanning the area for the best point of attack. On my mark, Jack whispered, his finger hovering over the trigger of his weapon. 3, 2, 1, mark. The two former operatives sprang into action, guns blazing as they unleashed a barrage of carefully aimed shots towards the unsuspecting guards. Chaos erupted in the corridor, with the startled guards scrambling to respond to the sudden assault. What's happening? One of the guards shouted, his voice laced with panic. Intruders, another one yelled, raising his weapon and firing blindly. Jack and Samantha ducked and weaved, their years of combat experience allowing them to evade the haphazard gunfire. As the guards focused their attention on the distraction, the rest of the team swiftly moved in, infiltrating the detention block and searching for Sophia's cell. "There she is," one of the team members whispered, pointing to a door at the far end of the corridor. Quickly and silently, they approached the cell, their fingers hovering over the access panel. With a few deft keystrokes, the door slid open, revealing a terrified Sophia huddled in the corner. "Sophia!" Emily cried, rushing to her daughter's side and pulling her into a tight embrace. "Oh, my darling, we're here to take you home." Sophia clung to her mother, her small body trembling with relief. "Mommy, I was so scared," she whimpered, tears streaming down her cheeks. John joined them, his face etched with a mixture of joy and fierce protectiveness. "It's all right, sweetheart. We're going to get you out of here, I promise." The sound of approaching footsteps and the blare of alarms suddenly shattered the moment, and the team sprang into action. Weapons were drawn, and the team members took up defensive positions, ready to fight their way out of the detention block. As the guards descended upon them, the battle erupted in a flurry of blaster fire and shouts. Jack and Samantha, having successfully drawn the attention of the majority of the guards, now found themselves in a desperate struggle to hold their ground and provide the extraction team with the precious time they needed. Amidst the chaos, the Carlson family huddled together, shielding Sophia as the team fought to secure their escape route. Emily and John's hearts raced, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and unwavering determination. "We're not leaving without you," John growled, his grip tightening on the weapon he had reluctantly taken up. The battle raged on, the sound of blasters echoing through the corridors as the rescue team fought to overcome the Galactic Council's formidable defenses. The fate of Sophia and the entire mission hung in the balance, as the team risked everything to bring the young girl home. The sound of blaster fire echoed through the corridors of the Galactic Council's detention facility as the rescue team fought to secure their escape. Sophia Carlson clung to her mother, her small frame trembling with fear and relief. "We're almost there," John shouted, his eyes darting between the path ahead and his weapon as he provided cover for the group. Emily held Sophia close, her heart racing. "Just a little further, sweetheart. We're going to get you out of here." Suddenly, a powerful blast of energy struck the wall just inches from their position, showering the group with debris. The team members scattered, taking cover behind whatever they could find. Jack Daniels, his face etched with determination, unleashed a barrage of return fire, his weapon's muzzle flashing in the dim light. "Damn it, they're closing in," he growled, his voice strained with exertion. Samantha Nguyen, her own weapon blazing, took a quick glance around the corner. "We're running out of time. If we don't get to the extraction point soon, we're not going to make it." The Carlson family huddled together, their eyes wide with fear and uncertainty. Sophia buried her face in Emily's shirt, her small hands clutching the fabric with a vice-like grip. "It's going to be okay, Sophia," John whispered, his voice low and reassuring. "We're not going to let anything happen to you." The team continued their desperate push towards the extraction point, engaging in a fierce, running battle with the Galactic Council's forces. Blaster bolts sizzled through the air, and the sound of explosions reverberated through the corridors. As they neared the exit, a hail of fire erupted from the opposite end of the hallway, forcing the team to take cover once more. Jack and Samantha responded with a barrage of their own, their weapons roaring to life. "We're pinned down," Jack shouted, his eyes narrowing with frustration. "We need a way out of this. Fast." Suddenly, a faint rumbling sound reached their ears, growing louder with each passing second. The team members exchanged a glance, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "Get ready," Samantha yelled, her finger poised on the trigger of her weapon. The Carlsons huddled closer, their hearts pounding as the rumbling grew deafening. Without warning, a massive transport vehicle burst through the far wall, its thrusters blazing. "Move, move, move," Jack shouted, ushering the team towards the waiting transport. The team scrambled aboard, their weapons still blazing as they provided cover fire for the slow-moving vehicle. Emily and John shielded Sophia, their bodies interposed between the child and the hail of blaster bolts. As the transport gained speed and cleared the Galactic Council's facility, a collective sigh of relief swept through the exhausted team members. Sophia, her eyes still wide with fear, looked up at her parents, her voice small and trembling. Are we safe now?" Emily brushed a stray lock of hair from Sophia's face, her own eyes glistening with tears. "Yes, my darling. We're safe." John pulled his family into a tight embrace, his shoulders sagging with a mixture of relief and the weight of the ordeal they had endured. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion, addressing the rescue team. "We couldn't have done this without you." Jack Daniels, his face set with a stern expression, nodded grimly. "Don't thank us yet. The Galactic Council isn't going to let this go without a fight." Samantha, her eyes scanning the horizon, added, "They're going to come after us, and they're not going to hold back. We need to get Sophia to safety and prepare for their retaliation." The transport sped away, carrying the exhausted but triumphant team, as the Galactic Council's headquarters erupted into chaos. The high-ranking members of the council convened, their faces etched with a mixture of rage and concern. "This is an outrage," Ixor shouted, slamming his fist on the table. "How dare the humans infiltrate our most secure facility and steal the child?" Alorian, the stoic counselor, raised a hand to silence his colleague. "Ixor, this is a grave situation. The humans have clearly demonstrated their resolve and their willingness to defy us. We must respond swiftly and decisively." Zendari, the more pragmatic member, spoke up, his voice tinged with unease. "The human colonies are already in a state of uproar. If we retaliate, it could ignite a full-scale conflict that we may not be able to control." Ixlor scoffed, his eyes narrowing with contempt. "So we should simply allow the humans to undermine our authority? No, this cannot stand. We must show them the true power of the Galactic Council." As the debate raged on, the Carlson family and the rescue team sped away, their eyes fixed on the horizon. They knew that the Galactic Council would not take this lightly, and that the battle had only just begun. The news of Sophia Carlson's daring rescue spread like wildfire through the human colonies, igniting a wave of pride and defiance. The people of New Atlantis and beyond celebrated the triumph of the Carlson family and their brave rescuers, their collective voices echoing with a renewed sense of purpose. However, the Galactic Council's response was swift and uncompromising. Within days, the vast military might of the interstellar governing body was mobilized, poised to descend upon the human colonies with overwhelming force. On the Carlson family's safe house, Emily, John, and Sophia watched the holographic displays with growing concern as reports of Galactic Council troop movements and military activity flooded the airwaves. "They're not going to let this go, are they?" Emily said, her voice trembling with fear. John placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, his own expression grim. "No, they're not. We knew they would retaliate, but I never imagined they would respond with this level of aggression." Sophia, her small frame huddled between her parents, looked up at them with wide, fearful eyes. "What's going to happen to us, Mommy? Are they going to take me away again?" Emily pulled Sophia close, her heart breaking at the sight of her daughter's distress. "No, sweetheart, we won't let that happen. Your father and I, and all our friends, we're going to protect you." Jack Daniels and Samantha Nguyen, the former military operatives who had led the rescue mission, entered the room, their faces etched with determination. "The Galactic Council is massing their forces near the outer colonies," Jack reported, his voice stern. "They're gearing up for a full-scale invasion." Samantha stepped forward, her eyes meeting the Carlsons with a steely gaze. "We need to prepare our defenses. The human colonies are going to have to stand together if we have any hope of withstanding the Galactic Council's assault." John's jaw tightened, his hands clenching into fists. "Then that's what we'll do. We'll rally the colonies, and we'll show the Galactic Council that they can't push us around." In the days that followed, the human colonies mobilized with a newfound sense of unity and purpose. Across the vastness of interstellar space, the people of Earth, Mars, and the various outer settlements banded together, pooling their resources and expertise to create a formidable defense network. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to upgrade their fleets and weapon systems, while military commanders coordinated strategies and deployment plans. The once disparate human colonies were now united in a common cause, driven by a fierce determination to protect their homes and their loved ones from the Galactic Council's aggression. The Carlson family found themselves at the center of this galactic resistance, their story serving as a rallying cry for the entire human race. Emily and John lent their voices to the growing chorus of defiance, their pleas for justice and peace echoing through the stars. "We will not back down," John declared during a rousing speech to a crowd of cheering supporters. "The Galactic Council has shown us their true colors, and we will not be cowed by their threats or their might. We will fight for our freedom, for our families, and for the future of humanity." The people of the human colonies responded with a deafening roar of approval, their spirits ignited by the Carlsons' unwavering resolve. As the Galactic Council's forces drew ever closer to the human-occupied worlds, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. The once peaceful coexistence between humanity and the Galactic Council had given way to a bitter and unforgiving conflict, with the fate of the Carlson family and the entire human race hanging in the balance. The Galactic Council, its ranks now unified in their determination to crush the human resistance, prepared to unleash the full might of its military might. The high-ranking members, led by the unyielding Ixchel, were convinced that a decisive victory would restore their dominance and quell the growing unrest among the member worlds. As the two sides drew ever closer to the breaking point, the galaxy held its breath, bracing for the inevitable clash that would determine the future of all who called it home. As the Galactic Council's forces descended upon the human colonies, the people of Earth, Mars, and the outer settlements rose up with a newfound determination. United by their shared outrage over the abduction of Sophia Carlson, the human resistance movement swelled with each passing day, drawing in volunteers and resources from across the galaxy. At the heart of this uprising was the Carlson family, their story serving as the inspiration for countless others who refused to bow to the Galactic Council's tyranny. Emily and John, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and unwavering resolve, rallied the troops, sharing their first-hand experience of the Council's brutality. "They thought they could take our daughter and get away with it," John declared, his voice ringing with conviction. "But we're not going to let them push us around anymore. This is our home, and we'll fight to the last breath to defend it." The crowd erupted in a roar of approval, their fists pumping the air in a defiant show of solidarity. Alongside the Carlsons stood Jack Daniels and Samantha Nguyen, the former military operatives who had led the daring rescue mission. "We've seen the Galactic Council's true colors," Samantha said, her eyes burning with determination. "They're not interested in peace or cooperation. They want to control us, to crush our spirit. But we're not going to let that happen." Jack stepped forward, his weathered face set with a grim expression. "The Galactic Council may have the numbers and the firepower, but we have something they don't: the will to fight for our freedom. Together, we can overcome their might and show them that humanity will not be silenced." As the rallying cries echoed through the colonies, the human resistance movement sprang into action, mobilizing a vast network of soldiers, engineers, and strategists. Across the vastness of interstellar space, hidden bases and covert operations sprung up, coordinating a multifaceted campaign to counter the Galactic Council's assault. The engineers and scientists, their skills honed by years of resourcefulness and innovation, worked tirelessly to upgrade the human fleets and weapon systems. They devised new technologies, some inspired by the Tylonian allies, that would give the human forces a crucial edge against the Galactic Council's superior firepower. Meanwhile, the military commanders, drawing on their experience and the collective knowledge of the colonies, crafted intricate battle plans that would capitalize on the human forces' agility and adaptability. They divided their troops into strike teams, each one tasked with specific objectives that would cripple the Galactic Council's advance. As the two sides clashed in a series of fierce skirmishes and battles, the human resistance proved to be a formidable adversary, refusing to be cowed by the Galactic Council's overwhelming might. The Carlson family, their bonds of love and determination strengthened by their ordeal, stood at the forefront of the fight, their voices echoing through the stars. "We will not surrender," Emily declared, her eyes burning with a fierce maternal instinct. "As long as there is breath in our bodies, we will continue to resist, to fight, and to reclaim what is rightfully ours." The Galactic Council, once confident in its ability to crush the human uprising, found itself beset by a growing sense of unease. The military campaigns that had been so meticulously planned were now bogged down by unexpected setbacks and unyielding resistance. Ixlor, the hardline counselor, paced the halls of the Galactic Council's headquarters, his brow furrowed with frustration. "How can this be?" he growled, his voice laced with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "We have the superior numbers, the better technology, the greater resources. How are the humans able to withstand our assault?" Alorian, the more pragmatic counselor, raised a hand to silence his colleague. "The humans have proven to be far more resourceful and resilient than we anticipated. Their ability to adapt and innovate on the fly has given them a decided advantage." Zendari, the voice of caution, spoke up, his expression grave. "We may need to reconsider our approach, Ixlor. The longer this conflict drags on, the more it threatens to destabilize the entire galactic order." As the Galactic Council grappled with the unexpected turn of events, the human resistance continued to gain momentum, their victories fueling the flames of hope and defiance across the colonies. The Carlson family, their bonds forged in the crucible of adversity, stood at the heart of this growing movement, determined to reshape the very foundations of the galactic landscape. The clash between the human resistance and the Galactic Council's formidable forces raged on, with neither side willing to concede defeat. The human colonies, united by their shared determination to protect their homes and families, fought with an unwavering spirit that confounded the Galactic Council's military strategists. At the heart of this galactic conflict stood the Carlson family, their bond forged in the crucible of their harrowing ordeal. Emily and John, their eyes alight with a fierce maternal and paternal instinct, led the charge, inspiring countless others to join the fight. "We will not be silenced." Emily's voice rang out, her words echoing through the vastness of interstellar space. "The Galactic Council has tried to break us, to crush our spirit, but we are stronger than they ever imagined." John, his face set with a resolute expression, stood beside his wife, his hand gripping hers with unwavering support. "Our daughter, Sophia, and all the children of the human colonies deserve to grow up in a galaxy where freedom and justice prevail. We will fight for them, no matter the cost." Sophia, once a terrified victim of the Galactic Council's cruelty, now stood tall, her eyes shining with a newfound sense of purpose. She had witnessed firsthand the resilience and determination of her parents and the human resistance, and she was determined to play her part in shaping the future of the galaxy. "I'm not afraid anymore," Sophia declared, her voice filled with a maturity beyond her years. "I want to help, to fight alongside you, to make sure no one else has to go through what I did." The Carlson family's story had become a rallying cry for the human colonies, inspiring others to take up arms and join the resistance. Engineers and scientists continued to develop innovative technologies that gave the human forces a crucial edge, while the military commanders refined their strategies, capitalizing on the bravery and adaptability of their troops. As the conflict raged on, the tide began to turn in favor of the human resistance. The Galactic Council's forces, once confident in their superiority, found themselves bogged down by setbacks and unexpected tactical maneuvers from their human adversaries. Ixlor, the hardline counselor, paced the halls of the Galactic Council's headquarters, his face etched with a mixture of rage and desperation. "This is unacceptable," he bellowed, slamming his fist on the table. "How dare the humans defy us so brazenly?" Alorian, the more pragmatic counselor, raised a hand, his expression grave. "We must face the reality of the situation, Ixlor. The humans have proven to be a far more formidable opponent than we ever imagined. Our once overwhelming advantage has been whittled away by their resilience and innovation." Zendari, the voice of reason, spoke up, his brow furrowed with concern. "It pains me to say this, but we may need to consider a diplomatic solution. Continuing this conflict could destabilize the entire galactic order, and the consequences could be catastrophic." Ixlor's eyes narrowed, his lips curling into a sneer. "Diplomacy? After all the humiliation the humans have inflicted upon us? Absolutely not. We must crush them, no matter the cost." As the debate within the Galactic Council raged on, the human resistance continued to push forward, their victories fueling their determination and inspiring others to join their cause. The Carlson family, their bonds stronger than ever, stood at the forefront of this momentous shift, their voices echoing through the stars. In the final decisive battle, the human forces, led by the Carlsons and their allies, delivered a crushing blow to the Galactic Council's invasion. The sheer tenacity and strategic brilliance of the human resistance, combined with their technological advancements, overwhelmed the Galactic Council's forces, forcing them into a hasty retreat. As the dust settled, the human colonies emerged victorious, their flags flying high in a triumphant display of their hard-won freedom. The Carlson family, their eyes shining with pride and relief, embraced one another, their laughter and tears mingling in a bittersweet celebration. In the aftermath of the conflict, the Galactic Council was forced to concede defeat, its once dominant position now significantly diminished. A new, more equitable and just galactic order began to take shape, with humanity playing a prominent role in shaping the future of the stars. The story of the Carlson family's ordeal and the human resistance's triumph became a symbol of hope and inspiration for countless others across the galaxy, a testament to the unbreakable spirit of humanity and its unwavering desire for freedom and justice. As the Carlsons looked to the horizon, their eyes filled with a renewed sense of optimism. They knew that the journey ahead would be filled with challenges and uncertainties, but they also knew that they were no longer alone in their fight, for the human colonies had forged an unbreakable bond, ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store for them.